intending to do so. And that's really the mark of character and of ability and of priorities in life. And perhaps no individual in WKU's history has had an experience quite as unique or quite as transformational as Margaret Munday. She was the first African-American undergraduate student to attend WKU. Margaret was indeed a trailblazer in a turbulent time across this nation. But because of Margaret's character and her family, and I think our institution, we didn't experience the turbulence that some institutions and some individuals experienced at that time. From Auburn, Kentucky, Margaret was a music student at Kentucky State University until 1956, when she decided to come to WKU for reasons that many students make decisions to attend a particular college or university. She wanted to be closer to home. Pretty straightforward. Desegregation was just occurring on university campuses all across this nation, and particularly in the South, and she was the first and only African American on this campus in 1956. And I love how she described her arrival on campus. Being the only black on an all-white campus would intimidate some, she said, but I recall that everybody was so nice. How about that? I recall that everybody was so nice. It was new to many instructors, which I can visualize that in 1956, but not so much to our students. Margaret successfully completed her degree in music and became a music teacher in Logan County, where throughout her 30-year career, she taught in every school in Logan County. That, in and of itself, might be worthy of induction into the Hall of Distinguished Alumni. But for her trailblazing attitude, her self-confidence, her self-esteem, her pride, and those of her family and those who love her and supported her, and as I think a reflection of the character of this institution, please turn your attention to the video screens and let's learn more about Margaret Munday.
Coming of age in the racially turbulent era of the late 50s, early 60s, Auburn, Kentucky native Margaret Munday found herself an unwitting participant in the integration issue of the times. With quiet determination and unfettered by the events surrounding her, Munday set forth to get an education, and in the process left an indelible mark on WKU by becoming the first African American to graduate from the Bowling Green Institution with a bachelor's degree. A footprint that originated when Margaret was just a young girl, riding in the back of her grandfather's car.
My grandfather lived in Bury, my mom's dad. And one day, when we passed on Center Street, I saw this bronze statue up there of this man. And I asked Dad, I said, Dad, when we leave, would you bring me by up there, up by the statue there? He told me he would, and he did. And I looked, he passed by, and I said, what is it? And he said, that's a college. I said, well, that's where I'm going. He said, no, baby, you can't go there. And I was only about 4 or 5 years old, standing with my feet in the back seat of the car, looking out the back window. He said, no, baby, you can't go there. That's for white only.
With an English teacher for a mother, Margaret knew the importance of an education. She would be the first and only of her 3 siblings to attend college, which in the mid-50s for an African-American girl in Kentucky meant attending the historically African-American Kentucky State College. It was on the way to her first year at college that she informed her parents that she was switching her major from nursing to education. The gifted pianist and musician chose music as her major, but complied with her mother's recommendations to minor in elementary education to increase her chances of getting a job. Homesick and missing her family, Munday longed to be closer to home. Her wish came true in 1956 with the desegregation of Western Kentucky State College. Reluctantly, her parents agreed to allow Margaret to enroll in classes on the Hill.
I think they felt like that I would be the only one there, which is the way it happened anyway, and that something could happen. Because when Mom would come to pick me up in the afternoon from Western, she would make sure she'd say, now, don't get in the car with anybody, with any of the students there. And because the cars at that time were few. But we had some music majors that had cars. And one day, it was so hot, it was raging hot that day. And there was a music student there, I won't personate her name, but she said, come on, get in the car, come on, ride down with us the normal drive to the music, because we all had classes down there. And I said, all right, and I got in, but I didn't know that Mom was sitting on Center Street watching. And at the end of the day, when I came back to get in the car, she said, Margaret, I saw you get in the car with the girl over there. She said, now what if she had kept driving and led you someplace and you've been killed? She said, I told you to watch that.
It had to be a very lonely experience. And I think we sometimes don't pay close attention to what the inner self might be going through. While hopefully there was no negative experiences, but even being tolerated leads you into a lonely state of mind, knowing each day that you're the only one of your kind in the environment that you're in. The nation as a whole had been impacted politically and publicly with the Brown versus Board of Education decision by the Supreme Court in 1954. And to have, for a public institution that was not under duress, to have opened its doors shortly after that decision to students of color, African Americans in particular, was very unique, and Western was definitely setting a trend.
Munday found a mostly supportive faculty and student body at Western in then-President Kelly Thompson, librarian Margie Helm, and professors Ivan Wilson and H.F. McChesney. A few isolated incidents of discrimination could not break her spirit.
And I was taking French because of my voice, you know, I had to know that. And she had given us all novels to read. And all in the class, she had to tell everybody else the novel that I was going to read. And she looked at them, grinning and smiling, and she said, I gave Margaret the black tulip. Because, you know, I knew. I thought, They all got up and walked out. And it was not only just those college professors. I had some of my own people, my own color. I could go past a certain place downtown on my way to the bus, and I heard this man say, he was a black man, he was working there from the Capitol. And he said, go run you, well, he gave a name, you know, go run you off of that hill one of these days. I just kept walking.
And she never looked back. Graduating in 1960 with a bachelor's degree in music and elementary education, she did her student teaching at College Heights. She then went on to teach school at the all-black Johnstown School in Olmsted, Kentucky, becoming the first black teacher at Auburn High School. Munday eventually taught at every school in Logan County until her retirement in 1995.
The door is open now. Now it's up to you to go in and get it, and don't expect anybody to owe you anything, because it's not so. The door is open.
In her more than 3 decades of teaching, Munday brought music to scores of people and places. She received several state and regional music association awards, receiving WKU's Society of African American Alumni honors in 1999, and continues, as she has since the age of 10, to play the piano as a member of the Macedonia Baptist Church in Auburn, Kentucky. 2012 Hall of Distinguished Alumni inductee Margaret Munday.
I have to say that this truly is a red letter day for me. And I feel honored and I feel good. And I feel just as scared as when President Ragsdale called me. I thought it was a scam. And I think he realized that I didn't believe him. And I thought, well, he'll call back in a few minutes and say that I'm sorry, I made a mistake. And the phone did ring just back to back. But it was the director of the Alumni Association said, I guess you talked to President Ragsdale. I thought, well, there's something to this. This is not a scam after all. I better take note on this. And I was shocking to me, but it's finally sunk in with me. President Thompson lit this flame, this torch, and it had continued through other presidents and even down to President Ragsdale. I want to say something to President Ragsdale. I appreciate him because he's geared to the times. He's a good leader. And he has vision, and without vision, the people perish. Western is growing. And long may it continue to grow, and I wish the blessings upon he and Mrs. Ragsdale as they continue to further Western on this journey here. We didn't have buildings here like this when I was here. It's altogether different. I also would like to say thank you to Mrs. Tracy Morrison, the Alumni Association Director, that has kept me abreast on everything. Ms. Barbara Deed for the video. I mean, it was hot that day when they came to my house, and my house is the type that cannot have central cooling. And I had a window air conditioner going, and they said, we have to turn this off, and I think it's about 104 outside. And you can imagine what it was inside after we turned all that off, but they hung in with me. And I would also like to thank Kevin West with the radio station, and all the people and all these other friends of mine that are here, that I see often, some that I don't see, some that I was raised with. I want to say thank you. And I definitely want to thank the Logan County Board of Education. I'm telling you, that's a good system down there. I'm proud of it because I'm from there. And we have a good superintendent, and he too has vision. Logan County schools are not coming up short in any way. And I'm proud of them. And he has vision. He has good board education down there, as well as our city schools too. I tell you, any institution or anything, where there's a leader over that institution, that organization, whatever, will only be as strong as its leader. And these men are good leaders. I appreciate them. And it takes hard work too. Anything worth having, it takes hard work. When I first stepped on the soil here at Western Kentucky State College, then little did I realize that was the dawn of a new era in my life. Now really, it actually, as you saw, it began with a bronze statue of a little girl standing up in the back of my dad's car at Frontier Hall. And I feel that really that was the beginning of an impossible dream, a dream that later came to pass. I didn't know what lay ahead, though. When I sought my education here and cultivate my talent, that was the mission that I came for, and it was achieved. And I don't know anything that I would go back and change and do over. I would do it the very same way that I did it the first time. Now, I had some good days here, and I had some weary days that goes with anything. But I didn't complain, and I won't complain. Because after all said and done, that goes with everything. Everything. I wasn't colorblind when I came. I was not colorblind when I left. And I wasn't colorblind in my classrooms either. Because I didn't know what doctor I had in there, what lawyer I was in there, what musician, what not. And that I tried to instill in those students of education that education is the key to success, because the opportunity was there, and it was time to take advantage of it and to work. I've had students to take biology in my class and look at me like they thought that perhaps I was speaking some type of foreign language. And I've had them to pass out when we were dissecting, you know, but we brought them to, kept on cutting. And to this day, I have them come up and say thank you. I can't go to Walmart, you know, sometimes you don't just want to put on just, you know, just fix up like all the time. You want to go on the rub. I can't do that. So when I do, I think, well, there's no one to see me today. Here comes someone with well, I Miss Munday. You started me out cutting in biology, and I'm a surgeon now, and I'm still cutting. I have surgeons out there that took my, and they're going to tell me, they said, we have been with students that have never dissected. They didn't dissect until they got to college. He said, and they told me that we felt good. We thought you were hard, but you sure laid with us. I didn't mean to be that hard on them, but you know, I went to Save-A-Lot store one day. I ran out of something that was the closest store for me, and this young man that was checking me out complained of his hand. Now, early years in elementary, I did believe in the ruler, getting a hand after you had asked to be quiet. Listen to what I'm saying now. But for some reason, talking continued. All right, so many times, they wasn't getting into place. Well, they was just, you know, and I thought, well, something has to be. So I got the ruler out for the hand. And evidently I had hold of this young man's hand, and he said, it can continue. I hadn't looked up. I was getting my money out and paying. And he said, my hand is killing me. And he said about 3 times. So I looked up, and of course he's grown up. I didn't know who it was. And I said, what happened to your hand, huh? What's wrong? He said, a ruler got a hold of it one day, and I'm feeling the pain again. And I looked at him, I said, you're one of my children, aren't you? And he said, yes, and told me his name. Please forgive me, but that was a little embarrassing to me, but I remember it well. I also used to wake up to another young man that was determined to play the guitar. And I knew very little about the guitar, but I knew about the frets and things like, because I had a guitar. And well, he went on and learned very well. He listened to what I told him, and the chords and so forth. And for the last 3 or 4 years, I haven't heard him this year, he wakes me up to a film home commercial. I thought, well, there he is. He's playing his guitar. That makes me happy. And every year I watch Weston's graduation. I'm not looking for the black student. I know they're here. I'm looking for students, period, that I taught in my classes. They're students of some of the students, the children of some of the students I had. And I get thrilled at that. And I enjoy watching them every year. The rungs of a ladder would take one up, and it would bring them down. And I look back when I started this journey through Western to reach down and pick somebody and help someone else up. I had to pull up by my own bootstraps. I worked my way through. And I thought, well, now there are some that don't have bootstraps and may not even have boots, but they're going to have to get up. Education is the key to success. And I learned that from that, I could go into success, but I don't have time for that. But I do know success takes perseverance, passion, courage, humor, and talent. All of it together, because I had to learn to have what it took to meet the challenges and to overcome obstacles and pursue excellence to fulfill a dream on the hill, and it was achieved. And again, I am exceedingly happy and grateful to this wonderful institution to be a recipient of this award. to be inducted into the Distinguished Hall of Fame. And I said thank you, and I also want to say thanks, a special thanks, to someone that I don't see quite often, and that was Margaret McChesney, the farmer McChesney. She's here today, and I haven't seen her in a long time. They helped me on this journey. Dr. H.F. McChesney was the Spanish teacher. Dr. Ivan Wilson, the art instructor. All those people, they were nice to me. Mr. Margie Hill was grateful that because I was from Auburn, and she knew my grandmother. And it takes all that to make what you want to be. And I will say that the Spirit makes the master. And I thank President Rasdell, his administration, alumni, and all that's concerned with this induction. Thank you. I give God the glory.
Well, Russ, you see, when you sculpt a statue, and did you do the H.H. Cherry statue in 1936? Art inspires. A 5-year-old from Logan County sees a statue and says, "Daddy, what's that?"